it comes to video game handhelds, I feel like Nintendo is always on top at creating the best and most memorable handhelds out there. I mean, you got the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy SP. Yeah, all right. But then one day, Mr. Miyamoto went up on stage and he was like, "Hey, you could have this." Then the world went crazy. There were like earthquakes, there were tsunamis, there was like avalanches. And I know those are like natural disasters, but like I mean these were caused by us because of how hype this announcement was. Thus, releasing in 2004 was the Nintendo DS, beloved by thousands. But they didn't stop there. Of course, this is Nintendo, so they kept making more. There was like Nintendo DS Lite, there was Nintendo DSi, there was Nintendo DSi XL, there was Nintendo McDonald's, and then there was nothing because soon after they would release the Nintendo 3DS, making mine and so many other kids' childhoods. And today I'm going to talk about my memories with the 3DS and the games that would lead to its soon closure in 2023. So for a selling point for the 3DS, they had this brand new idea, never before seen, eye-popping 3D. Because, that worked the last. When the 3DS came out on March 27, 2011, there weren't many games to go with the 3DS. Because, apparently Nintendo thought that Nintendo dogs and cats were good enough for us epic gamers. So they didn't really make any mainline Nintendo games within the first months of release. I think what's even weirder is the fact that some release dates date back before the 3DS came out. Like, what? Hi, welcome to your local Gamefly. How may I help you today? Quickly, buy all the games you can! The scalpers are after our ass! I don't know why, but I feel like I have a hunch that scalpers upped the prices of these 3DS games before the release of the 3DS. Now, because of barely any 3DS launch titles, you're probably wondering, what is there to play? Thus, I present to you the applications to the 3DS. That's right, we're discussing every single application, probably, I don't know. This video is going to be very long, Jesus Christ. You kids are lucky nowadays with your high-tech 3DS cartridges, with your Super Marios and playing the Donkey Kongs. I used to play raw apps, the 3DS camera, the sound effects, the Street Plaza, and we're about to talk about them in 3, 2, 1, whee! By now everyone knows what a Mii is. It's these iconic avatars that have been used for so many Nintendo consoles and games, even starring in their own games as well. The Mii's original home was on the Wii, but soon after the end of the Wii's life cycle, the Mii's would have to evacuate Wuhu Island into the 3DS, thus making the Mii Maker. Yeah, we're talking about that. So, this is the Mii Maker. There's nothing really different about it. I mean, maybe like one thing is that now you can take pictures of your face in the app, and it would basically create a Mii for you. And if you had a WiiU, then you know how bad this part is, because it just doesn't look like you whatsoever. You could just make the dumbest face ever, and then it would try to make your face onto a Mii, and it'd look, uh-oh. They would also add QR codes, so now your 3DS can scan and send your Miis all over the world, and even to your WiiU, if you had one. No one had one. If you ever ask anyone what app they spend most of their time on, it definitely has to be the Street Pass, aka the Mii Plaza. I mean, unless you're like me and then you have like 20 hours in Dinosaur Office. There was always something so amazing about finding someone new in your Mii Plaza. At the beginning of the 3DS's lifespan, the Mii Plaza only had like 2 games, and I'm pretty sure it was Puzzle Swap and Finding Me. Puzzle Swap was a game where after someone enters your Mii Plaza, you would enter Puzzle Swap to get these puzzle pieces from the Miis. These puzzle pieces were used for these paintings so that when fully completed, you would be able to view the full painting to see your favorite Nintendo characters. I remember getting the Pikmin painting as my first completed painting. Over time, Nintendo would add more and more paintings, as now there's like over 1,000 puzzle pieces to collect. You really have to be dedicated to the Mii Plaza to unlock every painting, which I congratulate you on if you actually have done that. So, yippee! The next game was Find Me. In this game, your Mii has been captured by an evil monster, and you gotta send your Miis from the Mii Plaza to go through a whole ass dungeon to fight other monsters to find your Mii. It's a pretty memorable game, mainly because I remember beating it multiple times since my brother and I always like swapped Mii's since, our 3DSs always passed paths. Which I think about it now, it's pretty funny because there's like a little end credits to show all the Mii's that vanquished different monsters in the dungeon. And most of the characters are my brother because, he was like the only person I saw. But at one point the game almost got impossible because I remember this like vividly. It was unless your Mii was white. Take that out of context, I don't care, but you couldn't pass the room because something about like magic and you had to be like a white Mii or something. Like, you had to have a white shirt. I mean, that's what I mean. You didn't actually have to. Yeah, I don't know why that was like the only level I remember. I just do. In the end, you would find your Mii, like the title says. And the credits would roll, showing the characters you defeated. Around 2013, the Mii Plaza would come out with brand new games such as Find Me 2, Mii Force, Flower Town, Warrior's Way, Monster Manor, Ultimate Angler, Battleground Z, Slot Car Rivals, Market Crashers, Feed Me, Ninja Launchers, and Mii Trek. Sadly, you'd had to buy these games, and I never did, so I don't know anything about them. But I do remember that I would just like go up to the rabbits that would be like, you have to pay for this. And I would just be like, but I want it. I think what I loved most about this app as a kid was how it just always surprised me on who would pop up in my Mii Plaza. Whether that would be my best friend, or my brother, or former CEO of Nintendo America, Reggie. Yeah, I should probably explain. So about 10 years ago, my family was on a vacation to Ocean City. I played the 3DS constantly in the car ride, but this time it was very much different due to how long the drive was, and I just couldn't stop playing my DS. But that day, when we finally got to Ocean City, we decided to stop by a mini golf place for fun. I remember it constantly being like an outer space mini golf themed. It was outdoor. But I remember before leaving, I looked at my street pass and saw that there were over 100 Mii's now in my plaza, including Reggie, as well as other game developers like Sakurai. Also, Rosanna, I don't know who Rosanna is, for some reason she's there. And to be honest, I don't know what I did to this day. Like, were they just all in one car together with their 3DSs and they just coincidentally passed me by in the car? Like, I don't know what actually happened. But anyway, Street Pass, it will be forever memorable to me and many others. Hi, this is an edit from the far future. So basically, I went back to Ocean City and I found the place. It was no longer there. Sadly, it actually was being constructed on, so I'm guessing a new golf course is being made. Rest in peace. I mean, nothing lasts forever, so But still nice to go back and see that everything's mostly in one piece. When you first get your 3DS and you unbox your brand new console, eagerly getting ready to play some good old chibi Robo Ziplash, instead you're greeted with 6 cards. These cards are used for one and only one pre-installed app, and that being the AR cards. This app lets you use the 3DS camera to play with these cards. You'd use the question block card in order to play the main games such as fishing, archery, and AR shot. You'd use the other AR cards to take photos with your characters on the card, which I only learned about that now. I just thought that these were basically worthless. I feel like all these are just all okay games, I mean, they're nothing like, game changing. Like, it's not like, oh my god, this is the best game ever, It's more just, fish the fishies, shoot your shot, the archers, yeah, alright. I think one of the most biggest downsides to this game is just the fact that the 3DS camera is overall pretty bad camera. I mean, I can't really blame it. It's, from 2011, whatever. But, it's like 5 frames per second, so every time you, like, sort of slightly move it, it's just going, I think also another big problem was, like, the lighting. Whenever I played this, I would have to, like, stand absolutely still. I could not move a muscle whatsoever, or else the entire stage would disappear and it would be like, I do not see the card, even though it's right in front of me, but it's too dark, also too bright. You just have to make it both dark and bright at the same time, Yeah, you could figure that out, right? Yeah, you'll be fine. After beating the games, you'd be rewarded with a harder version of archery and AR shot. They would also include a fishing gallery and a clock and a globe, or as they call it, Globo. It's not really funny, but still. In my opinion, these weren't as fun as the archery or the AR shot, but it was still a nice addition to have. Nintendo would soon go on to use the AR cards for different things. Not these cards. They would never use these again, only for this app. But I mean, yeah, they would. Yeah. Oh God, what was that noise? Oh crap! Hit the deck! It's the Face Raiders from the hit 3DS game Face Raiders. Yeah, this is where we're going with this. Alright, the Face Raiders was another AR game for the 3DS. It was to show what the 3DS camera can do. Unlike the 3DS's 2 frame per second camera! Basically what you would do is you would take a photo of you or your friend's face, and it would turn itself into an enemy. Then, it becomes an all-out war zone, as you have to shoot all your faces down. But then, there would be this big evil boss with your face on it, and, you know, you fight it, because that's what you do with a boss. It's a fun game, especially when playing with friends and taking their photos. There's nothing really much to it, it's just a game where you just have fun, and whenever you're bored, just pull the game up and play it. I feel like it's always nostalgic to look at the gallery of photos that you get, where you just see like your baby face as it like sort of develops into an angsty teen phase. Most of the time I would usually take photos of just my stuffed animals because I had no one else besides my brother to just, you know, take photos of. I would also never angle the camera correctly, so the face of like the mouth, when it like laughs or does anything, looks always off because it's like either above my actual mouth or like below it, and it's really weird look. There would also be a feature where the camera would guess your age, and it sort of never worked. Like most of the time, either I guess it was just too bright in the room or too dark, maybe because that's usually the problem with these types of cameras. But for like most of the time, it would say like cannot guess age. Like, thank you Nintendo, I did not need a reminder on how old I am and how much I'm gonna start shitting dust. I have a strong feeling that one day I'm gonna go to like Comic-Con or something and see someone like dressed up as a Face Raider, and all they say is weh eh eh. The gameplay is pretty simple, you just chuck your balls at a bunch of flying heads. They also always make like a grand entrance by just like, you know, crashing through the wall like Kool-Aid Man. And if you leave them alone, they also go to another part of the wall and crash through that. You know, you could have just used the front door. Ha 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 ha. I'm a funny guy. We have fun here. I think the biggest flaw with this app is the fact that they don't give us any lore about these Face Raiders. Like, where'd they come from? Why are they attacking me? Why don't we ever see them again? On a daily basis, how many times a day does Reggie comb his hair? Do you think Mother 3 will be ever released in the US? Will we ever get a crossover over Mario and the Face Raiders? Do you think Queen Elizabeth III knows about the Face Raiders? Are the Face Raiders Nintendo's version of the Mafia? Why did she leave me? Why does Nintendo do what Sega don't? If the Face Raiders existed in real life, do you think the military would send out the Air Force and start launching balls at them? These are legitimate questions. From time to time, I still joke about Face Raiders to my friends because of how weird of an app it was, yet nevertheless, like one of the most memorable on the 3DS. And remember, next time you see floating heads, grab your balls and start throwing them. The Nintendo 3DS sounds and camera are both essential to the family of handhelds. Passed down from generation to generation, these two apps are perfect for any Nintendo handheld system. They even had it for the Game Boy. Then you could print out pictures for them, the Game Boy camera. I mean, like, the pictures were like 8-bit versions of you, but still, it was pretty nice. There's nothing really to talk about. These are just two apps that are just a camera and a microphone. But it's still fun to look back at all the audios that you created, as well as the images you took, specifically of random kids around your school. I don't know if anyone else did that. I do that with my friend like all the time. I still do it now. Is that a problem? Yeah, that's a problem. But before we continue, ladies and gentlemen, I found something groundbreaking. I was searching through the files of my 3DS on my SD card, and randomly, I went to these files, and I found this secret MP3 player where it says, secrets. There must be something interesting. In my mind, I'm like, what is this? What could it be? What is Nintendo hiding? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the following footage will shock you.
It's me, Super Luigi, on the Xbox One.
What could this mean? Maybe a new Luigi game? But on the Xbox One? What is this? This has to be a trick. It's really just a treat for me just to go back and see all the audios I made so far. And for some reason I made this like tradition where every year I'd like say hi in one of the recordings. So it'd be me from like 2019, and I'd be like, hi, I'm from 2019. Then in 2020, I'd do the same, and so on. And I'm gonna continue that trend in 2023. Right now it's 2024, and I have to also do it again. Yay! There was also the activity logs, where you could see all the games you've played. It was basically just to keep record of what you played, yesterday, the day before, a year ago, 5 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 BC. I think it was just so interesting to see what games you've played the most. Mine was Mario & Luigi Dream Team, mainly because I love the series ever since I played Bowser's Inside Story for the DS. Nintendo, please bring that series back, I'm begging you! Does anyone remember when getting the Nintendo DSi, it came with that like pre-installed app about like the DSi and what it could do, such as like the new features of like the internet and how you could like download games and surf the web. I mean, you can't do that anymore because, Nintendo likes taking away our privilege. I used to watch this video on my brother's DSi because my original DS would become like any other toddler's belongings, smashed into smithereens. And I'm not gonna lie, I have like zero clue how it actually happened. All I remember was when I turned on the DS one day in my basement, it just turned white. Like, you know how usually it would come up with like the start screen and you had to click it? Yeah, it just was completely white. I don't know what happened, and I don't know where it is now. Probably at some Joe Schmo's garage sale for like $50 for some reason. Or maybe in a trash compactor. Who knows? I think there's just something so nostalgic about it. I think it's just the way it looks, and maybe it's just I used to see it as a kid multiple times. I don't know how many times, but like a lot. I remember seeing it, and then just coming back to it now, it's really nostalgic. I think one of the best parts about it was just like at the end, right when it faded away, it was like the Nintendo logo, it faded to black, and you slowly hear the music just disappear. And nowadays, anytime I watch it, I start to think, time really does fly by. The internet would become a big thing for the 3DS as it would use apps such as SwapNote. It was a more upgraded version of the DS's PictoChat. It's an application where you just draw images to your friends and then send them over to their DS's. However, me and my friends had zero clue friend codes existed, so we never gave them to each other, therefore we never played on this app. And I swear this is not an excuse, I had friends, I swear. However, anytime I'd actually open this app, the following scenario would happen. Welcome to PictoChat, are you ready to begin? You can draw notes with the stylus and then send them to your friends. Yeah, it was a very uneventful time for me, but I'm sure someone out there actually did enjoy this app. The 3DS would also have an internet browser, but I was also never able to use this as much, and that was because I had parental controls. I mean, what was my family afraid of? It's just the internet, right? They also had the Miiverse, which was basically social media for Nintendo. And all I know is that this app is like the funniest thing ever because of just the random things people saying. And finally, there's the Nintendo Zone, which I never use because of the parental controls. And I never will use it because Nintendo shut it down. Thanks, Nintendo. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my favorite application on the Nintendo 3DS. That is Nintendo Videos. That's right, baby. It was basically YouTube Kids. That's the best way I could put it. Except not, because sometimes they'd have a bit little adult, more like, humor or mature content. But before I actually talk about Nintendo Videos, let's go a little back to around, I guess, like 2011. There'd be an application that would come with your 3DS. From what I've seen, this app is probably like infamous with everyone who had a 3DS, because all my friends used to talk about how cool this app was. Obviously, I'm talking about Dinosaur Office, an app that basically everyone knows who had a 3DS. And if you didn't know about this app, then you probably had some kind of Chinese bootleg, and I'm very sorry for you. If you're a pro Dinosaur Office fan, then you obviously know that it was made by College Humor. And I don't know about you, but that's kind of really funny to me how College Humor is pre-installed to your 3DS. And Nintendo's demographic is like a bunch of kids. And obviously this would stick with many kids for their nostalgia for the 3DS, including me, my friends, and many more people. But the whole reason they had Dinosaur Office was to promote Nintendo Videos, which I highly doubt made a bunch of kids want to get Nintendo Videos. And that's mainly because they never said anything about Nintendo Videos. The only time they'd actually say it was at the end of the video, where they'd say, this is to promote Nintendo Videos, please go to the eShop and download Nintendo Videos. But I highly doubt any of us read it because we were all just a bunch of little toddlers who didn't know anything. And now you're probably wondering, how did I get Nintendo Videos? And I still sort of wonder that to this day. It sort of just magically appeared on my 3DS. And from when I was a kid, I always thought it was just because I watched the video over and over like 100 times. And I would just assume that it was my reward for watching it. I remember the first day I got it. It was just some random day. And then I saw like that little gift icon just appear on my screen. And then that little letter that you get where it's like, you received a new gift. I was like, oh my god. And since I'm like a toddler, so I'm like, this has to be the best thing ever. Thank you, Nintendo. And then when I finally open it, it's an app where you can just watch videos. And when you really think about it, that's kind of boring to get as in a free gift. But then again, when you're a toddler, anything counts. You could give me a Chinese bootleg. You could give me a plug and play. You could even give me a pipe bomb. I would love it. You could especially give me Chibi Robo Ziplash, like my grandmother did. And I mean, I loved it. Now that I'm older, wow, that game is whoa. I think what made the app super nostalgic was the fact that I kept returning to the app just to watch any new videos. But I think that's what would make the app so nostalgic, the way that I just kept returning to these videos, and then these videos would play through certain times with certain vacation spots or beach houses, something like that would make it so nostalgic. I remember like the day I got Nintendo videos, I remember we were sitting in the car and my brother asked me like, how did you get that? And then me being like the stupid child I was like, well, I don't actually know, but I'm pretty special, I think. Does anyone else remember Charlie the Unicorn from Nintendo videos? I certainly do. I would always show this to friends or cousins, just like to wonder if they also got Nintendo videos, and all of them did not have it. They only had Dinosaur Office, which made me feel even more special, the fact that I have Dinosaur Office at my fingertips. I could have ran like some kind of underground operation at my school. I'd be like, hey, you want to know the latest Dinosaur Office news? Give me 5 cents, buddy. I remember when I used to tell my cousins like the new Dinosaur Office lore, I'd be like, Greg was fired and then the evil raptor man like killed everyone because he's evil and he's a raptor. And how Nintendo videos would work was they would give you 4 new videos each day. From what I recall, it was Street Pass that would change the videos each day. So I think you had to like pass people who had different videos and then they'd like exchange it. Which the more I think about it like that, the more I remember like each week I'd usually have a new video or two. But since no one used this app, it would be a very long time until you actually got a new video. When you think about it, it really defines how I started on the internet with just 4 videos like every month or so. What really sucked was the fact that once when it finally closed, it sent all the videos that they had to the eShop, but unless you knew the names of those videos, you'd have absolutely zero luck at finding them. And to this day, I believe that there's no like playlist of every single video out there that was on Nintendo videos, which is what sucks even more, is because like I can't watch these classic videos. And now sadly, I'm no longer able to feel that amazing feeling of nostalgia when I watch these videos. Nintendo's videos being my favorite app on the 3DS, it was also the last app I ever used on my 3DS. Let me explain. So basically, back in like, I don't know, 2012 I guess, once when I had it in the car, and then I remember right when I was about to get out, I just dropped it, and it hit the curb, and I remember I picked it up, and it was just a mesh of like pixelation. It was very upsetting that day. But then one day my dad was like, I'm gonna take this to Mr. Nintendo, aka Mr. Miyamoto, and he was like, it'll come back in like a few weeks or so, and hopefully he will fix it. And being the stupid kid I was, first thought I had was like, he's taking us to like the big man of the operation. I didn't know who Miyamoto was at the time. You know, I was a little kid, I don't know how these things work. So I was like, obviously he's taking the time out of his life just to fix my 3DS. Like, this is such an honor. And finally, one day, my dad came home with a brand new 3DS, and I immediately thought this was the one that Mr. Nintendo fixed. And then my dad was like, I swear to God, if you break this thing again. Now that I'm older, I know that it was like a brand new 3DS that my dad bought, and I'm thankful that he did buy it, so thank you, Dad, for buying me a 3DS. I also remember the 3DS coming as a bundle, and it was bundled with Kirby Triple Deluxe, which it's weird because if I look anything up with like a bundle or anything, I can't find the box anywhere. Like the box art is completely missing from the internet. Please help. I remember as soon as I got older, I remember exploring my parents' closet, and then finding that 3DS in like mint condition, besides the screen. But I remember later on I found stuff online saying like if you flick like the screen, it might like help itself. That didn't work. Sadly, it's still broken. Yeah, I do have it like kept in my like little collection of DSs from over the years. But I really need to find somewhere to like sell it because I can't do anything with it, so I might as well sell it, you know. But back on the topic of Nintendo videos, now that it's finally closed and you can no longer use it, you can only enter the app and see like the 4 little like squares that you would click to enter the video. I remember the day that I got the notification that Nintendo videos closed down. That was heartbreaking. There was so much good content. It's now forever lost in the abyss of YouTube. But in all seriousness, it's kind of upsetting the way it is now more of just a gravestone on what used to be my favorite and most memorable app on the 3DS. But who knows, maybe there will come a day where I could finally experience Dinosaur Office on the Nintendo Switch one last time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done it! We have completed every app, we have talked about every app, we have done it. Goodbye, apps. Say goodbye. Look at them, they're flying into the sunset. Alright, so now you're probably wondering what to talk about next. Well, it's obviously the games, because if you didn't think about that, you're stupid. Alright, time for every game that I played when I was a kid. Alright, 3, 2, 1, ha! When you think what is the most classic 3DS game there is, my first thought is
Super Mario 3D Land!
Yet the more I say it out loud, the more I realize that not many people know about this game or have completely forgotten about it. And it is true that when you buy the 3DS, it does come with Mario 3D Land. But I think it's just that there's so many other games on a 3DS where people have just forgotten about this game. And I feel like that makes it considered an underrated gem. Even Nintendo themselves don't mention this game anymore. But then again, they don't mention any 3DS games anymore, so it's fine. Surprisingly, Super Mario 3D Land isn't an actual launch title. Instead, it would release several months after the 3DS's launch, which is a little bit baffling to me because, like, wouldn't you want one of your biggest mascots to be the launch title of your newest console? But then again, Nintendo always makes weird decisions, so, you know. Instead of giving us big mascots for launch titles, we would instead get games like Pilot Wings. Alright, enough of the jokes, we gotta get back to talking about Super Mario. The story is any other Mario game. Peach is kidnapped and now Mario has to save her. The big selling point that they tried to go for here was with the Tanuki. Even though it was already introduced in Mario 3, they still kept it and they were like, oh my god, it's back, look, buy the game, do it. They actually did add new power-ups like the propeller block and the boomerang. There was also the biggest selling point, which was to use the 3DS's 3D mode and, you know, see Mario for the first time in 3D. I mean, we already have, but that's not the point. It also included 3 collectible star coins in each level. Sometimes you'd have to use the 3D mode on the 3DS to get these star coins, which I feel like this is the only thing that 3D Land failed at. The main selling point was like 3D, you know, you could have Mario in 3D. However, 3D mode is only an option in this game, which is why I feel like it failed in that category. Because, like, when you're promoting the game, you're promoting it about the 3D, the fact that you could see Mario for the first time in eye-popping 3D. And then when you actually buy the game and play it, you do not use this 3D whatsoever, unless you want to see how cool it looks. But then again, when you do that, like after a while, it sort of gets annoying and then you sort of just turn it off. Because at this time, when the 3DS was released, the top screen's 3D wouldn't be the best. You'd have to like stay completely still and try not to like move your head, because if you did, it would become all blurry and like meshed. So then you'd have to immediately turn it off. And this is a bad thing when you're playing a level, because if you're fighting a boss or like doing something that includes precision, and then you sort of just get blurred by the screen, you're gonna die, you know? In the end, this is just a minor detail I'm complaining about because it's something to complain about. Overall, if you played the game, it's pretty much perfect. Down to the level design and platforming, everything feels pretty tight. Then again, what can you say about it? It's just a 3D platformer of Super Mario. Everything that is Super Mario and is a 3D platformer does super. So if you are a big fan of Mario 3D platformers, then I highly recommend this game, because this is the hidden gem of Mario games, and it's mainly overlooked because it's left on a handheld console, as Nintendo has no plans of remaking this game whatsoever. Anyways, sorry about that little rant. What were we talking about? Oh, star coins. Star coins. Coins would mainly be used for progression in the game, as every so often you'd be blocked by a question block. It would usually be asking for the certain amount that a little toddler would collect from these, because you know, that this is for kids. Anyway, after you beat the first 8 worlds, it doesn't end there. You're then sent to the special worlds and you have to complete all 8 worlds. These are basically the same levels except now with the challenges, like limited time. It also reintroduces the Cosmic Clone from Mario Galaxy, which is an obscure yet awesome enemy to have. I'd recently come back to the game knowing that I beat it with all the coins collected, until I realized that there was a secret final level only unlockable if you beat every level with Mario and Luigi. So now I finally have it 100% save file of Mario 3D Land. And to congratulate myself, I recently got these 3D Land power-up keychains. These look super cool, especially when you're someone who loved this game for the longest time. And before we continue, I want to tickle people's nostalgia. Therefore, this is the part where I show the original commercial for Super Mario 3D Land. I'm going to be doing this for every video game that I talk about in this video, so just a heads up because this is going to be a long one. And hopefully one of these commercials will tickle your nostalgia.
Welcome to a new way to play Mario, where stunning 3D worlds await, and you can do the impossible. You can play inside Mario's world in 3D. Now on Nintendo 3DS, Super Mario 3D Land, rated E for everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, shield your eyes. This is actually a leak to the new Super Mario movie. Hi, this is an edit. You could tell that I obviously recorded this way before the Mario movie released. So just pretend it's not out right now. Alright, thanks. You can see that they actually changed a whole lot about the movie. Like, it's now live action. It stars this kid. His name's Seth. At least they removed Chris Pratt. Joking, he's actually played by everyone. Funny enough, I actually remember seeing this commercial on TV. And since I was a little kid, it actually blew my mind. Like, look at this kid. He's running around, he's stomping on Koopas. At that moment, I always remembered, could I actually be just like that kid? Could I actually be stomping around on those Koopas? Perchance. And the music in the background of this commercial is for some reason really good. It didn't have to be that good. In the end, Super Mario 3D Land is a hidden gem that I feel like everyone should check out, because this really is a good game. And it'll be one that I will forever miss. One of my favorite series on the 3DS has to be the Mario & Luigi series, specifically Mario & Luigi Dream Team and Bowser's Inside Story. And also, by the way, Bowser's Inside Story is one of my favorite games of all time, and you can't tell me otherwise! In all seriousness, this is actually one of my favorite games of all time. I will never forget the day I first heard that intro jingle to Bowser's Inside Story. It was the day I fell in love with the series, and to this day, I still cherish these games. Besides Paper Jam. I'm mainly going to talk about Mario & Luigi Dream Team, Paper Jam, and Superstar Saga. I'm going to start with the first game that came to the 3DS, which is Mario & Luigi Dream Team. I have such fond memories of playing it, getting stuck because I didn't like reading, then restarting my save data, and then finally understanding what I had to do, and then getting stuck again. For some weird reason, the most fondest memory I have of playing this game was the first level where you use Luigi's mustache to launch Mario around. I remember playing it in a car, wearing dress clothes, and the car I was in a very long line for some reason. Maybe it was traffic? Oh yeah, it was also at a cemetery. There was probably nothing super important happening at that time during my life. The story goes that Mario and Green Stash go to a resort island called Pillow Island. There, Peach gets kidnapped, like she always does. Turns out the island's magical, and you basically can enter dreams. Luigi's a little bit of a sleeper, so he sucks Peach into his dream. There, in the dream, is hiding Batman or some shit, and he kidnaps Peach, and then Bowser shows up and he like teams up with Batman to like destroy the world, cause like dreams and stuff. Mario and Luigi team up with the Prince of the Island in order to save his people from imprisonment and also save Peach and the world and everything. There's also something called the Dream Stone, which can grant anyone wishes. Basically, Bowser and the Batman steal it, then Bowser eats it, and he becomes Dreamy Bowser. Not like that, not like that. You kill him and then he explodes and you save the day. The end. I sadly lost Dream Team in 2017 and I still don't know where it is to this day. Update, so I went to a video game store with my friends and I found it there for like $20, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy it, because I really miss this game and I need to play it. And I also have this tradition where I go on vacation every year and beat the games. More on that later in the video, but continuing. That's the one thing I always hated with the 3DS. It's just losing game cartridges. They're so small, and I'm a child, so obviously I'm either gonna lose the cartridge or probably eat it in the process. But then again, you can't blame Nintendo for that, so you know, that's more of my fault.
Doctors, this Nintendo 3DS will allow us to view the strange dreams of our friend Luigi.
Incredible. He's split into tons of little Luigis, making the shape of a hammer to battle enemies.
But now they're the shape of a ball? What if I do this? Oh, bravo, Dr. Anderson. By pulling his mustache in the real world, it assisted Mario in the dream world.
You can go on an adventure in two massive worlds in Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Only on Nintendo 3DS. Rated everywhere.
Now, I never remember seeing this commercial. However, that Luigi costume is, my god, that looks really good for some reason. I also love how he pulls the mustache. Speaking of mustaches, I really want to touch that mustache, I swear to god. Was that made out of real Luigi hair? Overall, this commercial is actually really good. I feel like this is a good example on how to show like how to make a commercial for video games, specifically for Nintendo, because you know, it's sometimes hit or miss. In the end, overall, a really great commercial, and Dream Team is a really great game. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. It's the next game in the series. I do not like it whatsoever, and we'll get to that in a bit. But for now, I remember the first day I got it. My family was going to the theaters to watch Kung Fu Panda 3, only in theaters January 29th. And during the movie, my dad was like, hey, wanna get this game? And my kid brain was like, Mario and Luigi? Yes please. So we go to our local GameStop, and when buying the game, the cashier did something very cash money of him. He says to me, hey kid, have some promotional paper crafts. And if you don't know what these paper crafts are, they're basically the bosses that are equivalent to the giant Bowser boss fights in the games. I was not good at making any of these. I lost all the pieces. I don't know where they are now. But for some reason when I got older, I actually got into paper crafts of other video game characters. And now I have like a couple hidden around my room for some reason. But anyway, from that moment, I knew this game was gonna be really good. I was wrong. The game is supposed to be a crossover of Paper Mario and the Mario & Luigi series. And this is the first time in years when Paper Mario actually has an XP system now. Anyway, the story goes that Luigi finds a book that leads into Paper Mario's world. So they all team up to stop Bowser and Paper Bowser before, I don't know, something. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I never actually beat this game because of how boring it was. And those stupid Toad levels, I don't like them. They were tedious, they were stupid, I don't like them. Ah!
When worlds get mixed up, things are going to get out of hand. Now, Mario, Luigi, and Paper Mario must set things right in the Mushroom Kingdom. So slip through those cracks, have a good stretch, knock your enemies into oblivion, and dominate giant papercraft battles. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, coming January 22nd for Nintendo 3DS. Rated E for everyone.
Yeah, this is a pretty basic commercial. And there really isn't anything to say about it because I learned this the day I watched Kung Fu Panda 3 only in theaters. And I'm playing these commercials for the nostalgia factor, but I've never seen this, so, yeah. But then again, that narrator's voice sounds like every narrator from that era. They usually promote just random toys. I don't know, maybe I'm just yapping, but... Anyway, this game is the worst in the series, and that's because sometimes it's tedious, and it was overall boring. Which is pretty sad because Paper Mario has a bunch of colorful characters, and it's a really missed opportunity overall. For being the worst game in the series, it's also the last game in the series, because the next two were just complete remasters. It didn't make sense to remaster Bowser's Inside Story, because obviously Superstar Saga was on the GBA, it needs to be remastered, but then Alpha Dream decided to say, hey, this game did pretty good, let's remaster Bowser's Inside Story, and also make it worse in the process. It's because they didn't add the goddamn theme song! There was no real reason to remaster Bowser's Inside Story because 3DSs are compatible with DS games, and I think the real reason they did it was because it was the best-selling game in the series, which is why they skipped Partners in Time as a remaster. I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't remember mostly anything from Superstar Saga. It feels like a hyper dream, and all I could remember is the beginning and end of the game. Absolutely nothing in the middle. I remember Luigi goes, Thunder! Yeah, that's all I remember. So remember when I said, and I also have this tradition where I go on vacation every year and beat the games. So yeah, now we're gonna talk about that for a few seconds. Basically every year I would go to Florida for spring break, and during that time I would be playing Superstar Saga. And I remember I already had my save data, but it was only halfway through. So I would decide to play it throughout the vacation. So the last day I was in Florida, I would go out to a restaurant and I'd beat the game there. But at that moment, it would start a tradition that would last forever. Because next spring break, I would have the remaster of Bowser's Inside Story, and I would have the game halfway completed. So then, I decided to play it during the vacation. And guess what? I beat it on the last night at the restaurant. And then, it was 2020 and we didn't go because COVID and stuff. But then, last year, after the eShop's closure, I was able to beat Bowser's Inside Story again, but this one was the DS version, so it technically counts as a different game. And I beat it on the last night at the same restaurant. And guess what? During the Dreams Team segment, remember how I said I got it at a store with my friends? Well, I'm halfway through the game, and spring break is only a few days away. Tradition, here I come. Sadly, Alpha Dream would go bankrupt after the Inside Story remaster, because why would you release a game that's already compatible with the 3DS? But this next commercial will be a dedication to the GBA original commercial. And that's because the remastered commercials kinda suck. Alright, yeah.
After a 20-year sibling rivalry, Mario and Luigi team up using synchronized super moves in their most ridiculous adventure ever. Mario and Luigi, Superstar Saga. Rated E for everyone.
Alright, well that was very wholesome. I love how it was shown using the hammers, and Luigi's stash is spot on. I really like this commercial because it's relatable to me since I have a brother that I grew up with, and we look exactly like that. In the end, I hold this series close to my heart as I wait for one day for Nintendo to continue the series on the Switch. But when the time comes when they release it on a Direct, I will scream at the top of my lungs, Nintendo, please bring this back! But if they never do, then this truly is the end of an era that I will forever miss. The Mario & Luigi series is great and all, but I'm looking for an even better series. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the best RPG series of all time. A game that's so obscure because there were no physical copy. Ladies and gentlemen, I present The Denpa Men. The Denpa Men is a 3D augmented reality video game where you capture little men and make them fight for dominance against creatures of the world to save a woman. You have to capture them with your 3DS and recruit them in your Denpa Men army. I've only played the first game so far, and the only thing I could say is it's fun and hard as shit. I swear to God, I got stuck on a boss. And you don't have much to heal with, so you're sort of screwed sometimes. And every time your Denpa Men get KO'd, they get sent back to the radio waves, so you either have to waste money to get them back, or you just have to be lucky and find them back in the radio waves. It's a pretty basic RPG, but in my opinion, it's the best RPG series ever, and that's because of the insane lore it has to it. There's an iceberg that goes into the most insane stuff I have ever seen for a video game. Did you know that there actually is a fourth game? Denpa Men 3 was only released in Japan. Did you know there was a card game? Did you know Denpa Men 3 was a prequel? Did you know it inspired Among Us? I joke about the Denpa Men from time to time with my friends just because of the obscurity of this game. And from now on, in the eyes of this channel, the Denpa Men will be our lords and saviors. I first discovered the series one day in 2013 when my 3DS randomly downloaded some demos. This is a callback to when I was talking about applications on the 3DS. And the one that caught my eye was the Denpa Men 2 Beyond the Waves. This time in this game, the monkeys kidnap your kids and family. I think that's what happens. I'm not really sure. I still haven't beat it yet. Remember, I'm still playing the first one because I want to 100% that one. And from what it seems, it looks like the Denpa Men 2 is actually a very improved game from the original Denpa Men. And also the battle music is really good for some reason. The whole series OST is actually really good. So after the success of the sequel, these bootleg Teletubbies got another sequel, which apparently is a prequel, the Denpa Men 3, The Rise of Digital. Digital is like the little town they live in, and that's why it's a prequel, you know, it's like they're building it, and I think that's just how the game works, you like build the place up, you know. As ironic as I make the Denpa Men seem, I will never forget the day my 3DS gave me the Denpa Men 2 to play, and now I have the full trilogy because I wasted my money. I mean, I didn't waste it, I'm glad I bought it. And now I could finally enjoy the game without a limited time. Get it, because, you know, it's a demo. And before I show the commercial, I want to mention that I couldn't find this commercial at all, only on the eShop as a trailer, which makes me realize that this series actually isn't well documented. But anyway, I somehow found the YouTube channel of the Dempamen, and it's beautiful. Please subscribe, we need more Dempamen content. Hi, this is an update, so this is the part where I would have played the commercial. However, some big news has happened recently, and I'm very disappointed. Basically, there was a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, and it had absolutely nothing in it. Well, if you consider the Japan one though... Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. But who knows, maybe we'll get an English version.
Search with your 3DS. Catch with your 3DS. Let's go.
Okay.
We're the Dempamen. We live in the world of radio waves. We come in all shapes and sizes. But we're all really solid dudes.
It's time
to combine forces
And set off on an RPG adventure!
Catch the Dempamen to build your team. Take on monsters and search for countless treasures. And join your Dempamen for a real adventure. The Dempamen!
You too can be a Dempamen!
Okay, I don't know what is more amazing. The fact that you see the characters in-game, or the fact that they made costumes and made these guys walk around in public to make this commercial. And I'm not gonna lie, I would pay serious money to get my hands on one of those costumes. I feel like these costumes would actually be used for something like a YouTube video instead of like an actual commercial. I could see a random guy walking around in one of these suits like, "Hey kid, wanna join me on an epic RPG adventure?" I mean, what can I say at this point? The kid looks like he's being held at gunpoint. There's several parts of the video where it looks like they're super uncomfortable for some reason, and I can't really put my finger on why. And I don't know if I'd call 911 or join them on the RPG adventure. Probably the second option. He did say that they're all really solid dudes. Scratch everything I said before. These guys are my lord and saviors, and if I learn anything from this commercial, it's to always believe in yourself, and no matter what, just remember that I too can be a Dempamen, and so can you. Thank you. If you bought the 3DS around the time it released, you had to buy it for around $250, and if you did, you should know that there were no games on it whatsoever. Then right after, the 3DS's price would be lowered around to $150. So basically, to say sorry for everyone who was a sucker to Nintendo, the Ambassadors program. It was a certificate you would get for the 3DS that came with a bunch of virtual console games. Obviously, you could no longer get this thing because it was a limited time thing. And also, you had to like log into the Nintendo's website and then like sign in and stuff, and it was like a whole process. And I didn't get this because I had XL, and that was like after the time that they dropped the price, so. But still, a very interesting app that I had zero clue about up until now, so yeah. If I think of the most forgettable 3DS game, it has to be New Soup 2. If you disagree with this, then that's okay. I just don't remember anything from this game. I replayed it, and it just feels really bland compared to something like New Soup for the Wii. But then again, I love New Soup Wii because I speedrun it daily with my friends. The game came out between the time New Soup U came out, and it just feels like the same exact game except you're forever alone in the abyss. I do have to admit, collecting every coin was kind of an addicting thing because it gave me flashbacks to something like DuckTales, which if you've ever played that, it's just addicting to just run around and grab every coin you can. But the thing is, DuckTales did it better because you could actually spend the money that you earn on concept art and things like music. There's no overall money toll that changes the end of the game like in Luigi's Mansion, and even worse is that the game doesn't have any memorable boss fights. Like, compare it to New Soup DS. You fought Monty Mole in a tank. All you do is kill the dinos from Super Mario World in this one. Yeah, it's really boring. All you have to do is just like hit them on the blocks that they stand on, and you just have to do like 1, 2, and it's over. It's boring as balls. And the power-ups that you get in the game are old, but new to the new Soup series. You get the brand new golden flower, but like, you only get that like once or twice in the game. Like, how cool would it be if like the final boss, you had to fight Bowser with the golden flower, and he turns into coins? Yeah, no? I think it's cool. I like the cannons. That's something I like about the game, you know? Cannons, they go boom, and then there's like a little level. It's kind of creative. Yeah, that's all I like. But I did suffer through the blandness to 100% complete the game because I just wanted to see the Star World. And the only thing I liked was this change in the star coins into these moon coins. And honestly, it's really sad compared to like something like New Super Wii or U, with like the most challenging levels ever. Now right now you're probably thinking, oh, these levels have to be like the hardest, right? No, they were not hard at all. I remember I was like stretching my fingers, I was getting ready for like the hardest levels ever, and then it was just, wow, disappointment, basically. And the secret final boss is just a reskin. Yeah, it's pretty boring. But I think this commercial's a really good one, so hopefully it makes up for this segment. Alright, let's watch it. 3, 2, 1, ah!
Join the coin rush. You can turn Mario gold and grab more coins than ever in New Super Mario Bros. 2, only on Nintendo 3DS.
So I remember seeing this one on TV, and at that moment my kid brain thought, am I going to die? At that moment when I was watching the commercial, I just thought, was this going to be like an atomic bomb? Am I just going to reduce to atoms, but instead of atoms, coins? Like, did you see the buildings in the background? There were people in those buildings. All of them are dead now. Please, run for your life. Save yourself. All of those people are falling to their death because their buildings turned into a bunch of coins. I feel like the commercial did a better job at presenting this collecting coin type of concept where you just collect every coin you can. If I was a little kid right now, I would want to pretend to run around my backyard, pretending to like collect a bunch of coins. And then my neighbor's Ring camera would pick up a little child running around the backyard. When I ask people around my school what the best Mario Kart is, everyone always says Coconut Mall. They are obviously referring to Mario Kart Wii, just in case you didn't know. And I 100% agree. However, you are a dumbass. Because I'm sorry, am I supposed to believe that you actually played Mario Kart Wii within the span of a few months? I'm pretty smart enough to realize that you did not boot up your Wii just to play Mario Kart Wii. The only thing that comes out of your mouth is Coconut Mall. As you can tell, I don't like that meme. And it's mainly because Mario Kart Wii is much more than just Coconut Mall, you know? There's just something so amazing and challenging about Mario Kart Wii, where to the point I can't go back to Mario Kart 8 because of something such as the physics and no flame runner. I'll also forever miss the times that I would get comboed by multiple racers at a time. You know, like, it's the final lap, then out of nowhere, Baby Daisy passes me at the last second, even though she was literally nowhere in sight, and then she just spawns in, and then wins the race, like, I'm going to throw this baby out of a window. But we're not here to talk about Mario Kart Wii. We're here to talk about Mario Kart 7, because this is all about the DS, and it would be stupid to talk about a game that's completely on a different console. Mario Kart 7 would go on to introduce the most beloved mechanic in Mario Kart history, the underwater sections. Oh yeah, and the gliders, but that's like barely used in the future games, so I don't think we need to talk about it. Did you also know that for the underwater sections, you can go underwater? Holy shit! Maybe I'll tell Grandpa that one next time he's in the bathtub. That'll stop him from taking my money from the piggy bank. Unlike other Mario games, in the 3DS library, this game was pretty memorable. I do remember playing this game with my friends from time to time, and I was always so confused at this character selection. We got the core characters, you know, Mario, Luigi, Toad, Peach. Okay, that's good. Then we got Queen Bee from Mario Galaxy. Like, what? We also for some reason have Wiggler. Like, how does he even fit in a cart? He's like several feet tall. I know in games like Mario DS they had Rob, but like, Rob was at least a pretty cool character. It's just that the Queen Bee is such an out-of-nowhere character, where you have to wonder, like, what were they thinking? The tracks in this game were pretty good ones. DK Jungle, Waluigi Pinball, Daisy Cruisers, Maple Treeway, WiiU Island, you know, the list goes on. The only thing I didn't like about this game was the removal of missions from the DS. These missions were such a fun thing to play, adding something different from the normal Grand Prix. These missions even had bosses after every 8 missions, but hey, who knows, maybe we'll get something in the Booster Course Pass.
Discover the land, air, and sea chaos of new Mario Kart 7, rated E for everyone.
Is it just me, or was that commercial very odd? Like, there's something uncanny about watching it. I think it was just the way that the kids don't fit in the carts. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to call them fat or anything, it's just, I think it's just how the kids look, and then just the animation of the carts make it just look kind of weird. And the kid in the Bowser cart looks like an early 2000s stereotypical bully. It's kind of funny to me as well, the fact that people have made VR games out of these. And then you got this commercial that's super uncanny. In the end, it's Mario Kart 7. There's not much to say about it. It's Mario Kart 7. It's fun. During the time when I was still a young kid, the main games I would play would mainly be Mario games, being the ones that I talked about in this video. But then there are the series like Legend of Zelda, which I didn't really get to playing those games because I just never really was into them, until around 2018 when I would first play Breath of the Wild. And after that, I wanted to try something different, so I wanted to play Majora's Mask. And oh boy, I loved it! I got it for Christmas in 2018, and I remember playing it so many times within the first time I played it. Wait, what? If you didn't know what the actual shit I just said, I don't either. Basically what I meant was, I would play it from Christmas to the end of New Year's, and then just stop playing it. And that was mainly because I had zero clue on what the actual shit to do. But instead, I didn't give up. Instead, I would go on YouTube for 100% walkthroughs. The only problem with that being was that it would disable the freedom that I would have. Like, I couldn't just walk around. I had to follow by the video. However, it was still a very fun game to play. And like I said before, I stopped after New Year's. And at this time, I would complete about 25% of the game, as I beat the first temple and completed everything in the swamp. But basically, after New Year's, I didn't play it the entire year. When 2018 would pass, 2019 would roll around, and I would go on to continue the game December 1st. This time starting the Snow Temple, and everything where the mountains are, in the Gorons. I would go on to beat the second temple, and then miss a couple things here and there in the mountains. And New Year's would roll around as 2020 would come around, and I would stop playing the game. But then, December 1st in 2020 would start to roll around, and I beat both temples, and I swore that this time I'd finally steal the moon! Sadly not, however, because 2020 would end, and I would stop playing the game. 2021 rolls around, I do everything, I 100% everything, I get every mask. Then I'd go on to drown Ben and stuff. 2021 would finally be the year I beat this game. I 100% everything, and now it's time for the final fight. Let's go, boys. You ready for this? Swamp, mountains, ocean, canyon. Those are the 4 things. Who cares? I got them all. Yeah, alright, let's start. Keep in mind that this was all on Christmas Eve, the day before I got this game, 4 years ago. I knew I had to beat it right at 12 o'clock. I remember starting off the final temple in the car ride, because, you know, all my stories take place in the car ride apparently. I'd like to clarify that I actually do have a house, but anyway, I start the final temple, but then I proceed to close the game at the last second because I was getting bored. Then I finally celebrate New Year's Eve with my family. After the party, I sit down and I watch Christmas Story with my family. As I'm happily enjoying the movie, I finally look down to check the time, and I'm like, oh shit, I have 10 minutes to beat this game, or else I am forever stuck in this limbo of playing this game. So I run over to my 3DS that was luckily on the counter, but then I see it, a red glowing light coming from the window. I check, and it's the moon. It's now closer than ever to the Earth. I'm about to shit my pants. I have to do this. This is now or never. This is destiny. So I put on the fierce deity mask and I get ready for a brawl. I have about like 5 minutes left. It's now or never. I start beating the shit out of Majora's Mask. And it's kinda easy because, you know, I have all the like 100% equipment stuff, you know. But it wasn't enough. Soon, I only have a minute left. The moon is right on my ass. The ground starts shaking in real life. I'm spamming the A button. Please, please save me. I can see the light. Grandma, I'm coming. Ah! As I wake up in bed, I look around and I realize it's Christmas. I actually did it. I beat the game. This curse, it's been lifted. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say, it has been a journey. A very fun one for that matter. I go downstairs with my family. We all start opening gifts, but there's one gift left. It was addressed to me. What could it be? I slowly open it, and I see it. Wait a second. Is this... No, it can't be! God save me. To this day, they say he's still playing Ocarina of Time. Congratulations! You made it to the hour mark of this video. Great. I'm pretty sure no one's gonna make it to this part, but still. If somebody actually did make it to this part, then hi, how are you? I feel like this video is getting way too long. And you're probably wondering, you should make a part 2. No, you're stupid. But anyway, I still have like 50,000 games to talk about, so this is what I call a lightning round. I'm just gonna go over like my memories with it. I'm not gonna describe the game. You probably know most of these games. They're not like, you know, hidden gems or anything. So, lightning round, 3, 2, 1, whoop! Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. What a really great game. I remember I first got it at my grandma's and I played it there and it was really nice. This is my first introduction to Luigi's Mansion. I had zero clue that this was actually a sequel, so yeah. A cult classic game to the 3DS has to be Tomodachi Life. I have a lot of memories. I remember getting it, I think, around my birthday. It's such a quirky and very, like, unique type of game that Nintendo has made. Apparently this also was a sequel, but it was a Japan-only game because, you know, everything's in Japan nowadays. I remember spending countless hours to this game, playing the game from day to night, and then going to bed and then seeing all my islanders asleep and then just being sad because I can't play the game anymore. My most memorable part is, like, writing all the songs that you can make. I wrote a song about McDonald's and how there's shit all over the walls. I really have a talent. I'm going places, man. However, I was never able to make any of my islanders date, so I guess you could call my island the Virgin Island. Yoshi's New Island. I do not remember anything from this game. All I remember was the world map music that goes na 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 na. From what I heard, this was not a good Yoshi game. So if you want an actual good one, play the DS version. The only memory I could recall from this is playing this at a bar. I don't know why I was there. Time for the best game of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chibi Robo Ziplash, the game that every YouTuber fears. I remember I got this from my grandma. The only time I recall playing this was at the rec. I like the items you collect in the game. That's like the only thing I like. I barely remember anything from this, but it was pretty bad. I did, however, get this cool amiibo from it. Rhythm Heaven Megamix. I love this game. Sadly, there was no physical copy because it's Japan only. They did, however, have it on the eShop. I remember back in 2016, I wanted this so badly, and then I finally got it, and now it's one of my favorite games. I'll probably talk about the series in the future because I love it. Animal Crossing New Leaf, an Ultimate NES remix. We're both my brothers, so I barely play them, but I know they're good, because there's like a small window when I actually played them. Now, I didn't have Animal Crossing, but I did have Happy Home Designer, and that was my game, and I loved that. However, I never got to play New Leaf, so I was sort of disappointed in that. Paper Mario Sticker Star. This game is awful. It destroyed the series. Even Miyamoto said it was boring. However, I liked it as a kid, although I was a stupid dumb child, and now I don't like it. I remember I constantly got stuck on most of the puzzles. That was because you needed some of those stupid super stickers and shit. Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Minis on the Move. I actually love this game. I remember I used to play the DS version of like the original game. I think it was called Minis March Again, but nice change of pace for the series in my opinion. I just love like dragging like the little paths and make them walk around. What else? Oh, yeah, WarioWare. I got this like last year, I think. One of the best WarioWares you could play. So much content where I love it. Also the people who made Rhythm Heaven, so that's cool. Playing any other WarioWare game besides Smooth Moves, the games just don't feel good anymore because they're not like WarioWare Gold or Smooth Moves. I think it's just the fact that WarioWare Gold just has so much content and Smooth Moves has Smooth Moves. We're finally finished, is what I would say if we were finally finished. There were games on the eShop that were free, but you had to pay for them. What I mean by this is Nintendo Badge Arcade, Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. They would lead you in with the free stuff, and then bam, they'd give you a price tag. Rusty's Real Deal, I actually love this game. I was playing it earlier today. I remember I just bought all of the games for some reason. It was just kind of fun, and there was funds left over in my account, so I was just like, yeah, sure. Discover the lore of Rusty and how real his deal is. You could discover my real deal, you know what I'm saying? You could basically just badger him into like giving you the game almost for free, like You could buy it for like a cent. I don't know how his business is still running and shit. They also make the funny references to consoles like the Nintendo 4DS. Instead of the 3D to the 3DS, it probably has like the good smells of 4DS. I don't know. What's next? Oh, photos with Mario. You take photos with Mario, that's basically it. You can download the game for free, but then you have to like buy the cards. Or it could be like me, where my dad just printed out the cards. They work as well. This was really cool as a kid. However, it was not cool to have it for like $10, you know? But it's whatever, you know? At least you get a card, you know? Metroid Ball, this has nothing to do with Metroid. I don't think Samus is in this game at all. It's Metroid, and they have like balls, and it's soccer. It's Rocket League, but without the rockets or the leagues. I played this a shit ton with my friends back in camp. It was something to like play with. Now finally for Nintendo Badge Arcade, one of the best badges of arcades. This game I've been grinding out all the way to the end. I have actually wasted like a little bit too much money on this game. Basically it's an arcade machine, you grab the badges and then you win the badges, you know, with the claw, you know. I'm poorly explaining this, but it's fine. Basically once when you get a badge, you go to your home menu and then just design the place. And my 3DS is like loaded with badges all over the place. Nintendo, I swear to God, bring this game back to the Switch or something. Because this is me in the future. Hi. So basically, if you go back into the app, it still works. However, the last update they had with all the badges is now forever stuck on that, like, area. But anyway, Nintendo needs to bring it back because they suck at making themes and decisions. Now, I actually think we're finally done with all this. Those were the games that I had at the top of my head. I know I missed a few, like Kirby, but however, that was actually planned to have like an entire segment, but I cut it out because this was getting way too long and I have a deadline, and we're all finally done. Is what I would say if I wasn't missing one franchise, one series that is beloved to this day, and it is basically a core memory in my brain, in my heart, basically anywhere, maybe my balls or something, I don't know. But that franchise is Pokemon. Everyone knows what a Pokemon is. Everyone's played it before. I play Pokemon Go like daily. It's a problem. But there's something special to me, the fact that when I was a kid, I moved to a new town. I had no friends whatsoever. And this was during the summer. And my parents would sign me up for like a summer camp. And I remember coincidentally, I just had Pokemon cards that day. And there were kids sitting in a bleacher nearby. And I remember I walked up to them and I was like, I got Pokemon cards. And that's when I made my best friends from like 4th grade all the way to like now. At this time, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were out, and the kids I befriended had 3DSs that had Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and constantly that was the game that they would play. And I wanted one of the Pokemon games so bad, because I actually didn't have any of the games, which right now you're probably wondering, so then how is this memorable? And I'll get to that in a bit. I'm just trying to give you guys context, you know. Basically, they would play Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire constantly every time we were at camp. And over time, we would bond, you know, more and more and more. Every summer, we would go back to the summer camp and then, you know, play Pokemon. To this day, I still don't have Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, which I remember the time I actually had the choice to actually buy the game. I remember my mom was like, hey, you want to buy this game? And this was once when summer camp ended, and I sat there and I thought about it. And the reason I said no was because I couldn't experience it with my friends. A year later, it's now the next summer. Summer camp's, you know, a few days away. And we're all ready to play the brand new Pokemon game, Pokemon Sun and Moon, which came out in like either early or late October of that year. And now for the first time, I could actually experience Pokemon, especially with my friends. And during that year at the camp, I have this specific memory, and I'm pretty sure all my friends do. And we had like a little Pokemon tournament. And whoever won the tournament would get a level 100 shiny. I don't remember what Pokemon it was, and to this day I have zero clue how my friend had a level 100 shiny. Like he just pulled it out of his ass one day, I don't know how it happened. And somehow, during that tournament, I won that shiny. And before I even used it, I accidentally took out the SD card and my save data was corrupt. There's something wrong with me. To this day, I still see them around the halls of my high school. And anytime I say hi, we usually like joke about that from time to time. Years would pass on and we would slowly all grow apart. And we grew apart because the camp wouldn't allow high schoolers or 8th graders. It was really stupid. But a few days before I had the idea of making this video, I had like a random memory about a camp counselor. This was just some random bitch. And she was like, you know, your parents paid money for you guys to go outside, not play on your video games. And I remember at that moment when she said that, it kind of hurt. Because, I mean, I'm a little kid, first off. But there's also the truth that she's right. Our parents spent a lot of money just for us to go outside and then play on our 3DS. And we also did much more than that. We did, the usual kid stuff, tag, hide and seek, any game we'd also make up. But I remember they also had like other sports games that we played. And most of the times you could choose groups in these games. And kids used to target us because we used to play on our 3DSs. And they called us the 3DS Club. They were like, "Get the 3DS Club! Rip their heads off!" Yeah, it was pretty gruesome. But I think that made our bond a lot more stronger. But basically, like I said, as I remember this, I started to get like a little sad. And that was because they made it seem like it was frowned upon to play a game or just do something with friends. And I remember at the beginning of the school day, I would go where I usually sit, and that's on the floor in the hallway, with my best friend who is funny enough actually from camp. We just stayed in contact ever since. But that day he wasn't there, so as I'm sitting there, I take out my 3DS and I start playing. And from the distance, I see a figure walk up to me. It was my friend from camp. Specifically the one who gave out the shiny to me once when I won the tournament. We talked for a bit and I asked him one last question. And since that was the day I was about to start recording this video, I asked him, what is the most nostalgic thing he remembers about the 3DS? He took a minute to respond, and he said that he remembers going to the purple playground. That was the most frequent playground that we would go to hang out. And he remembers going into that one tube that we'd all try to squeeze in, and we would just play on our 3DSs, and specifically play Pokemon. At that moment, I realized someone who I haven't seen in forever has a place in his heart for all these memories we all made together as friends. And for the people who haven't noticed, all of these games that I mentioned in this video, we would all play together on our 3DSs at camp. And so as I sit here now recording this, I would have said to that bitchy staff member, "Yeah, we do this every day," and I wouldn't trade it for the world. We are finally at the end of this video, and I have to say this is one of the perfect ends I could make for this. Is what I would say if I didn't miss an application all the way at the beginning of the video. Because, this video is never going to end. Please, someone kill me. I think we all know where this is going. This app determines the fate of the 3DS in the next few days, and that is the Nintendo eShop. The reason I saved this for last is because, this is basically why I made the video in the first place. There's also another reason, but we'll get to that later. Everyone should know what the eShop is. It's on the Switch as well. It was released around 2011, and it would allow people to download games onto their 3DS, and Wii U, and Switch, without buying the actual physical copy of the game. But the reason I saved this for last is because of the reason we all know. On March 27th, 2023, the eShop will finally close forever, meaning you can no longer download games for the eShop. And you're probably thinking to yourself right now, I could just get a physical copy anywhere I want. And it's true, some of these games are easy to find in random places or just by emulating these games. However, there are eShop exclusive games, which means games like Badge Arcade, Rusty's Real Deal, Street Pass with all those like extra games, you can no longer play them. They're all gone, they're all dead. And yeah, you could still emulate them, but shut up, I'm having a moment. And there's games that need online to work. So what's gonna happen after the eShop closes? Will Nintendo Badge Arcade still work? Please, I need to know! I'm at like 70% completion with the badges. And yes, like I said before, you could just emulate all this. I'm pretty sure for the exclusive games, you could probably emulate it, because somebody's gonna make like some kind of mod or something, I don't know. So in the end, does anyone really care? Probably not, except for the people who grew up with a 3DS, then that includes me. And this is a message to directly any person who is just like me and grew up with a 3DS. The one thing that will feel like a big deal is the fact that when this day is up, I will no longer be a kid. When I heard that the eShop would close, I didn't really think anything about it. What could happen, I don't really care. And then a few weeks later, I wanted to start a YouTube channel. One where I could, talk about the things I love. And one of the things I love is video games. And I didn't know how to start it until I saw a video about 3DS nostalgia. It's like one of those goofy ass edits. And I would put it up on the screen, but however, I can't find it anymore. And maybe this was just God saying, here's your call to action, come on, make it. And I remember at that moment, all this nostalgia, all these memories started flowing back to me. I just remembered, I was like, whoa. But at that moment, I had an epiphany. That when the 27th comes around, the eShop wouldn't just die, so would my childhood. As cheesy as that sounds, it's true. No longer would the 3DS be something modern, instead a retro console. One of those consoles I see while I'm looking through a retro game store. I feel old, yet I remember playing these games with my friends like it was yesterday. And now I'm finally reaching the point in my life where I'm no longer a kid. Yet no matter how old a console like this gets, no matter how much time I spend away from it, nothing can take away the memories I have. and nothing can make me forget all the time I have used my childhood on this one handheld. This video is finally over. I've talked about everything I want to talk about. Ending this video on such a nice note, there's really nothing else to talk about. And that's what I would have said exactly a year ago today. So as you may know, this video did not come out on the 27th of the 23rd, instead the 24th. And you're probably wondering why. So this is just one final update before I actually publish this video. Basically, when I first had the idea of making this, it was 3 days until the deadline. I completely rushed this video. I tried my best editing it, and I got to the final day, and I just didn't finish it in time. There was just too much stuff to go over. I did want to work on it after the 27th, but the more I started to realize how lazy this was. I re-recorded all of this. That's because the original audio sounded like me going like, the 3DS is a thing that I love. So now it's the future, you know? And now I'm like, you know what? Let me try this one more time. And I have like an entire year. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, you see, I have to finish everything today before I publish it. So if something is off in this video, then I'm sorry, but I don't do good with deadlines. I'm very sorry. Skip an entire year into the future, as it has been exactly 1 year since, you know, the 3DS eShops closed. And I just want to talk about like the news that has happened over this time. Well, you see, what's happening is that on April 8th, 2024, Nintendo is going to be shutting down the networks for the 3DS and Wii U, which means like games like the original Splatoon, Mario Maker, Badge Arcade, anything that's online is going to be unplayable forever until somebody makes like a mod or something, I don't know. And also March is my birthday month, and funny enough, I turned 18 this year. I'm a big boy now, alright? But I'm gonna get back to editing this video now because I still have that deadline, so I do thank you a lot for watching this video all the way to the end. It means a lot to me, mainly because I actually worked basically a year on this, and hopefully to the people who are still watching this, I hope you had a lot of waves of nostalgia, just like I did making this video. I don't know how to end this now. I feel like I ruined the end because of this update. I'm sorry. Ooh, wait, how about this? And I thank Nintendo for my amazing childhood.